My name is Sergei Sokolov. I am Vice Chief of the Center of Fire Statistics of CTIF. Also, I am Professor of Moscow Academy of State Fire Service of Russia. At the beginning of my presentation, I would like to apologize for my not very good English, but I will try to make you understand me. Let me very briefly show you some results of the center for 24 years. The last time I had made such a report 11 years ago in 2008 at Symposium CTIF in Colmar in France. And now it's time to update some positions. But first I would like to say a few words about the center. The Center of Fire Statistics of CTIF was founded in 1995 by initiative of Professor Brushlinsky, he is my colleague, and the president of CTIF, Gunnar Haurum. At first, the center consists of two national committees, Russian and Germany, and in 2003, United States national committees joined the center. And now the center is represented by 3 national committees and technical assistance from Ukraine. But we are always open for new members. Welcome. The next slide shows us the main activities of the center. It's statistics of fire, statistics of fire deaths and fire injuries, statistics of firefighter deaths and firefighter injuries, statistics of fire and rescue services and their activities, and economic statistical evaluation of fire costs. Our main sources of information are data of fire and rescue services, data of World Health Organization, and data of World Fire Statistics Center. Then I would like to point out 2 problems of World Fire Statistics. Why is the World Fire Statistics so slowly developing? What are its main problems? There are 3 reasons which slowed down the development. The first reason: there were no organization officially engaged in collection, processing, analyzing world fire data until the end of the 20th century. The first organization, World Fire Statistics Center, appeared in 1981 at International Association for Study of Insurance Economics. Unfortunately, there are no this organization from 2013. And the second one, the Center of Fire Statistics of CTIF, was founded in 1995. The second reason, the absence of a national fire statistics system in many countries of the world. This makes it difficult to get data from some countries on time. And the third reason, different rules of registration of fires, fire deaths, fire injuries, fire damage, etc. This leads to difficulties to reconciling data. Nevertheless, at the beginning of the 21st century, it was possible to create data bank characterizing situation with fires in the world. Since 1995, the center has published 24 reports, World Fire Statistics, in English, Russian, and German. Additionally, some reports were translated in Polish, Turkish, Hungarian, Spanish, and Persian. Since 2005, all reports of the center are presented on CTIF website for free download. And as I know, this is more visited pages and website. The next slide shows the presentation, the reports of the center around the world. On the next slide in the table, you can see the total information from 24 reports of the center. The first column of table presents year, the next column number of countries, then population, number of fires, number of fire deaths, and 3 relative indicators. Annually, the center received information from about 40 countries. In these countries, 1/3 of Earth population lives, and about 4 million and fires and about 40,000 fire deaths are registered. The next slide helps us to answer the question, how many fires are there in the world? By our estimated, there are 11-12 million fires a year in the world. And here you can see distribution of fires by major property types. There are 3 big parts. There are fires of grass, bush, rubbish, dwelling fires, mainly dwelling fires, and vehicles fires. The next slide answers the question, how many fire deaths are there in the world? Here we use 2 sources of information. Data of World Health Organization, and by data of this organization, there are 150-160 deaths from fire, heat and hot substance. By data of fire and rescue services, there are about 110-120 fire deaths a year in the world. Here you can see distribution on fire deaths by major property types. The big part is dwelling fires, and you can see the map with distribution of estimated deaths from fire, heat and hot substance by data of World Health Organization in 2006. We compared data from World Health Organization and data from fire and rescue services for some countries of the world. And you can see that mainly the data of World Health Organization greater than data of World Fire Services. It's normally because World Health Organization into account data fire deaths and deaths from heat and deaths from hot substance. However, for some countries, you can see that data of fire and rescue services greater than data of World Health Organization. It's nonsense, but it's reality. This is due to imperfect statistics. Annually, 56 million died in the world. And on this graph you can see positions of main causes of mortality in the world. The first position, it's cardiovascular diseases. It's about 17-18 million. then cancers, next position respiratory diseases, the 9th position road incident, and 28th position fires. This slide demonstrates how many fire injuries are there in the world. By our estimate, it's about 360, 400 fire injuries a year in the world. It's in 3-4 times more than fire deaths. And this slide can help us to answer the questions: how much is the fire costs? The data, this slide was prepared by data of World Fire Statistics Center. Total cost of fires is about 1–2% of global domestic product for the countries in average. The fire losses, direct, indirect, are 3–4 times less than estimated fire cost of firefighting. This data for average data for 2000H 2010. The next slide shows us the statistics of fire services in different countries in the world. This graph demonstrates the different approaches to organization of fire service in different countries. There are countries where work only carrier, professional firefighter, and we can see there are countries where work only volunteers firefighters. Big difference. The next slide shows us generalized data showing the situation with fires in the world at the beginning of 21st century, and generalized data showing means and forces of fire service in the world at the beginning of 21st century. Earth population 7.6 billion people. Number of fires a year it's about 11–12. Number of fire deaths a year it's 110–120,000. Number of fire injuries a year 350–400 a year. Number of firefighter deaths a year about 250–300. Number of firefighter injuries a year 2,200–250. And the total fire costs is 1–2% of GDP for the countries in average. And we can see that there are 2.5 million carrier firefighter in the world, and in 10 times more, 25 million volunteers firefighter. The next two slides show us additionally fire statistics study results. During the period of center activities, the center staff participated in preparing many articles and books regarding fire statistics and fire risks. These books published in Russia, Germany, Poland, United States, and other countries. Based on the fire service activity statistics, the theory of organization, operation, and management of emergency services has been developed, and based on this theory, computer technologies have been worked out for the study, examination, and master plan of development of emergency services. These technologies have been applied in more than 40 cities and areas of various countries. And in conclusion, the present, the center is starting to prepare the anniversary report number 25. We would like to ask the countries to take an active part in preparation of report and send their statistics to center address. And reports after are always grateful for suggestion to improve the work of the center. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. Any question?
Yeah. Question?
Sorry for disturbing you. Thank you for your presentation, but I don't want to exactly repeat my question, but are you responsible, or your committee is responsible as well for terminology, for vocabulary?
Yeah. Okay.
Why I ask you, because my question is how you can be sure that you evaluate data who are appropriate. Usually statistics is called very precise collection of data which are not quite good. You know what I mean? That's what we discussed in a previous lecture. So I'm not sure if you really evaluate those things, because when I have seen screen about the Czech Republic, it seems that we have got only career firefighters, I mean full-time, or volunteers, which is not true. We have got part-time as well. So where is a problem, or where is a question about it?
This is a big problem to reconciling data, but we use only official information which we received from countries. That's what we have. What you send us data, and data we use for our report.
I understand, but again, I think that to be accurate or more accurate, the initial phase is to have a common, let's say, terminology, common vocabulary, which will be accepted at least for all CTIF members. In this case, you can be sure that you really have got accurate and relevant data. That's my point of view from, let's say, a long-term work on statistics.
Yes, I agree with you. There are problems in these positions, but we'll try to reconcile data. We will try. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. So statistics, of course, there should be like similar rules for collecting data that would make it much easier for you, I'm sure, and more, of course, more valid numbers. So, but is there any data about the impact from fires to the environment? Why I ask this is we have the big fire in Brazil, in the forest fires. There are numbers of forest fires all around the world, and on Danish TV we are told that every day the fire is going on in the Amazon. It creates the same damage to the earth as the whole Danish population does in 1 year. So are there statistics about the impact of the environment from everything from car fires to big bushfires?
Okay. It's a big problem to gathering data, detailed data for the countries. For example, if you want to collect data in high-rise buildings, there are many differences in for determine what does it mean, high-rise building? In Russia, it's 12 floor. In the United States, maybe 25 floor. In Germany, it's 9 floor. So we can, to get data for this situation, because one country registered one positions, other country another positions. So we collect total data, not detail. It's not possible for this time. Do you understand me?
I understand and I agree, of course. So it is a problem that maybe we need to address at some point. Maybe CTIF would be the organization to push that forward, actually. So.
Yeah, I would like to add something as well, because one of your slides was introduced that cost for fire services something like 12%. Cost for fires is roughly 12% for direct loss, and indirect loss something like 2%, and the cost for fire services is 35%. From my point of view, it could be quite dangerous to present such kind of figures, because it seems that we refire to bond is much more cheaper than finance fire services. You know, we in our statistic we use something which means a safe value. It means if fire service will not do their job, how much costs this additional value which will not be saved. But if you look only at those figures, especially for politicians, I don't say anything about Vice President of CTIF, but anyway, it could be really quite dangerous, because usually politicians simplify things only to the economical figures.
Yes, I agree with you, but it's not our data, data of World Fire Statistics Center. But it's also that fire costs, but fire losses are less in 2-3 times than firefighting costs. It's really data, yes. It's dangerous slide, slide. Yeah. I agree with you.
Okay. Any other question?
Yeah, thank you. I had the same question. I kind of wanted to make a comment that indeed the data that you presented about the costs can be used in 2 ways. One is the dangerous one, as you pointed out. Why do we spend on firefighting in the first place? Because obviously it's too expensive, and that's really dangerous. Of course, one can and should be making the argument from the other side, and that is the costs of loss are low thanks to the firefighting,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And that's the direction that your numbers are kind of trying to support, namely, what were the costs if the fire had not been fought?
Yeah, you're right.
And,
Yes,
and I agree with you completely. This is like an incredibly important distinction to draw, and if anybody can at least try to collect such like data, then it's you, right? So I think this should not be just left alone, because as you were saying, I mean, it's an incredibly dangerous number that you're showing there for firefighting.
Okay, did you catch it? Okay, maybe in the future some discussion also with Fire Statistics Center of CTIF, how to present the statistical data to be more, let's say, in favor to firefighters. I agree completely with all comments. Maybe this loss is due to the good fire service in each country instead of, and then you have to compare it with the cost of fire service. Thank you, Sergey. Margarita, you also had some words to say? Okay, please. The floor is yours. Yeah, and then we'll continue. Thank you, Dr. Sokolov.
First, I want to say thank you for the invitation. We are very pleased to be here. Me and Mr. Sokolov are colleagues. We work in State Fire Academy, and now in this seminar we represent Russian National Committee. And this previous presentation was very full and there was interesting discussion. That's why I say I want to summarize briefly and say a few words about future directions of our activities as a committee. So, previous presentation concerned the main issues of the work of world fire statistics, analysis of data, and fire risk in different areas and territories. Within areas and territories, I mean cities and countries. As it was pointed out, all the data, statistical data, for the reports, official reports of the CTIF, World Fire Statistics Center, are based on official data, official information from each country that provided this information each year, respective year. And you can easily find this information, these reports on the website of CTIF in the public domain in the menu World Fire Statistics Center. It is translated in different languages. It is well known. English, German, French, and last year we translated these reports 24th and 23rd reports into Persian, Hungarian, and also Spanish. And the fact is that, as it was said, as it was pointed out, that there are different methods of collecting data in each country. And this difference may affect the result of statistical processing, and obviously this difference in processing methods will not disappear, at least very fast. It won't be very fast. And what we need is collaboration, cooperation, and we are looking forward to your participation in collecting data correctly, collecting data for this purpose, and will help for cooperation. And one more issue, just a few words about the committee and the future developments. At present, the committee is carrying out the study that concerned the collecting information about fire and rescue services all over the world in different countries, and we try to make the special form for each committee, for each country, and it would look like a digest, like information about each fire and rescue service. And this report will named as Fire and Rescue Services all over the world. So we're looking forward to your participation in this, and we hope for professional cooperation, and we wish a very successful conclusion to this nice seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Margarita.